Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial, and today we're back on our Legend of Zelda series, but we're going to be throwing a spin on it. We're going to be actually recreating the Legend of Zelda. Instead of studying it, we are now recreating it. So, we're going to basically start off by setting up our scene, setting up our character, and setting up our basic controller. We're also going to be getting our basic animations for our character. Now, that's today. Now, let me show you what we're actually doing here. So, let's go ahead and play this here. And our camera is going to take just a little bit to rise up in the air. But here's our basic test scene, and if you guys want this, you can download it in the description. But as you can see, just a little bit laggy, but as you can see, we run around just fine. And this is our third-person controller, also using it on our Link character. And just to let you guys know, this rig here is actually a very basic rig. It is a rig that is not the same as our third-person controller, but we are taking that animation and applying it to a new rig. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that in this tutorial, along with setting up our basic scene, our basic character, and using our new animations. Now, before we go into Unity, we need to make sure that we have all of our assets prepared, right? So, to start off, we need to get animations. So, I'm already assuming that you guys have a character in your project. For example, we are going to be using Toon Link, and I'll show you guys how to take these animations and apply them to that character, and pretty much any character. But we need to start off by getting our assets. So, down in the description, you guys will be able to find a test scene, basically a scene allowing you to just play around with your character, right? It's a little bit smaller than the one that I'm going to be using, but it is pretty much the same. Now, we have our character, and we have our scene, and you guys can go ahead and put that into Unity. Just go ahead and drag that in, and we need our animations now. Now, this really cool site called Mixamo, it has characters and it has animations. And we're going to be going, so it's a free site, by the way, so you can get free animations, as many as you want. So many different types of animations here. And we're going to use these animations with the Toon Link, right? So let's go ahead and find one. So, let's just do a walking animation here. And this one will work fine. So you basically click it, and you can change all the settings for this. So we can stay in place. That's what we're going to want to do. We can trim it, character arm space, and overdrive. Overdrive is basically the speed of how you're walking. And sometimes they have strides in here. So for example, if you do the zombie one here, your posture, your reach, how far are you reaching, your stride. Basically, all the settings here are customizable. So let's go back to this walking animation here, and we're going to use this one here. So stay in place, and we can go ahead and click download. I've already downloaded a separate walking animation, and we're going to use that. Now, we're going to be using different animations throughout the series, and if you see these animations that we use and you want them, just go to the site here and go download them. Again, they are completely free to you guys. Now, let's go ahead and go into Unity, and we can go ahead and set up our scene. Alright, so now we're in Unity. We have our Link, we have our walking animation, and I also imported a shader here. So this is just a shader for our character, and here's our beta room. So go ahead and take your test room. Again, you can download this in the description and drag it into our scene. Now, this is actually the real beta room from Super Mario Sunshine and also Wind Waker. They basically reuse Super Mario Sunshine's testing for Wind Waker. Now, let's zoom in here. We can basically see that we have a couple of things in this test scene. Let's actually scale this down first, just so it's easier to look at it. Right. So to start off, we have a simple ramp or a slide, stairs, actually a lot of different types of stairs, ramps, rough terrain, crawl spaces right here, right through here, ladders, jump spaces, so you can jump from here onto that and grab the ledge, different heights of stairs over here, wall collision, curved stairs. I'm not really sure what this part is here. This part is water over here, so you used to, like, for example, the iron boots. You would have been able to use that, and currently, obviously, in Wind Waker, they didn't have iron boots, but eventually, I'm guessing back then they probably did. So, you have many different ways to test through this scene. Now, unfortunately, I cannot give you guys this entire scene because it would be copyright, so I'm going to change the scene a little bit, but you guys will get the basic scene. Now, let's go ahead and drag our character in. So our Link character, I cannot give you this character either. It's just something I can't give you, again, for copyright reasons. And so him, this is Toon Link right here. You can get this from a couple different sites. You can either rivet yourself or make it yourself. For example, Blend Swap. Let's hop over there real quick. So Blend Swap is a place where you can go get different models for free. Same thing as some character site, kind of like Turbo Squid, except it's, again, free. So if we look up Link, Toon Link right here. So you're going to be able to get a character like this. I'm hoping that it is rigged for you guys. It doesn't look exactly like the character that I have, just because my character is ripped from the game. But, for example, a character like this you can download just for testing it out, right? And you will need to rig this yourself. So next, let's set up our animation. So we have our scene set up, we have our character set up. So next, we really need to figure out how to take this animation and apply it to our character. Because, as you can see here, our character is short, 1, 2, he's cartoon, so he's not really humanoid, and 3, he's just kind of weird. So how do we take this animation that has a full-blown human-like appearance and apply it to our Toon character? Well, to do this, it's actually really simple. Go to your model and change the animation type from generic to humanoid. Go ahead and apply that, and you will need to change some of the things on your rig. It is very important that you have a correct rig. So, for example, a 4-legged character will not work with this. Alright, now once your Link character is applied, or your character has applied with the humanoid, you need to go to your actual animation here, so our FBX animation, and change your animation type on the rig from generic to humanoid. Go ahead and apply that, and basically, what does this do? Well, it takes the rig, and it changes your rig, and it applies it to this animation. So, for example, any animation, because it's humanoid character, it can shrink down to your rig size. So it can say, okay, well, it's a humanoid character, so I'm going to change this rig up just a little bit, and then I'm going to make both rigs work together. So that's basically what it does, and it's pretty simple, right? Now, we have currently no animations on our Link, but if we take this animation here, so it's just called mixamo.com, which we will want to change to walk. So let's go ahead and grab that and change it to walk. And we also want to set this on loop. And apply that. As you can see down here, our character's walking very slowly. That's just because we have our speed set to slow. But we can go ahead and apply this animation to our character. If we play this, we can see Link is walking. Now, it's a little bit strange. The arm is a little bit messed up, and just in general, it doesn't look exactly right. And that's just because sometimes the rig is set up just a little bit wrong. But as you can see, it looks at least okay. So you guys will need to test around with different animations to make this work right and exactly how you want it to. Alright, so we have our basic scene set up. We have our character, we have our animations, and we have our scene itself. Now, we really need to start getting to work on this controller. Where do we start? Well, obviously, we need to start with our character controller. But where do we start with our character controller? Because there's many things that Link does. Run, walk, swim, crawl, climb. Many things that he does. And that's also why we're using Mixamo, is because we're getting the animations from there. That way we don't have to create them ourselves. Now, we're going to start by implementing just our basic character controller. So to do this, let's go ahead and import our third-person character controller. Now, this is going to be our base for our character. We will be changing the script along the way, but this is just our basic base. So you want to go ahead and disable the rollerball or first-person controller, and we'll keep cross-platform input, and that's pretty much it. Alright, let's go ahead and import that. Alright, so we have our standard assets imported. We have our third-person controller, and once we have this, we can go ahead and drag our third-person controller prefab into the scene. Now, there is currently a problem with this. Our animations from this character don't transfer over to Link. And even if they did, we don't really want these animations. So for now, what we're actually going to do is change his animations over to humanoid and use them with our character. But we won't keep this forever. We're going to be using Mixamo fully for our animations, but for now we will also use the animations imported from him. Yep, so these are already all humanoid, so we can go ahead and apply everything from this character over to this one. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's go ahead and drag our third-person or our Link into our third-person controller. Delete both our body, glasses, and skeleton. And what you may want to do is take our armature and all that stuff and drag it out like that. And that might work. We'll see. Also, we can move our character over just a bit to fit our armature here. Well, to fit our collider, sorry. Alright, so it's still not right. There we go, that's right. Alright, now, if we currently play this, we fall through the ground. And that's because we don't have a mesh collider to our scene. So, also, at the same time, we also want to import the cameras package, but we won't do that just yet. We'll play around with our controller first. So, in our beta room, we need to make sure we have collision all over. So, let's go ahead and enable that. Right. And we're just going to use Mesh Collider for this. And that should work just fine. So currently, if we play this, we run around, we walk and all that stuff, but it's not really what we want it to be, right? So if we go to our third-person controller, actually, let's go ahead and delete everything inside this third-person controller. And actually, we're going to take we're going to take Link and just pull him in here one more time. And that should work just a bit better. There we go. And that way the animator works fine. Animator still doesn't work. Well, that's because we didn't drag him under. Also, one other thing we need to do is change our animator avatar to the Link avatar here. And here we go. It's working fine now. And Link runs around like he's a normal person, except his just kind of looks a little bit weird. And his arm, that's just because the rig's messed up just a little bit. That's my fault. And Link runs around just fine. Now, one other thing we're going to want to do is set our camera up. So let's just go ahead and import a basic camera package. And we will only want the free look camera rig, but we'll keep the other ones in here just in case we want them later. And let's go ahead and drag our camera in here. So under standard assets, cameras, prefabs, free look camera. And we drag that in here, and our target will be our third-person controller. And you want to make sure you delete our previous camera that is in the scene. There we go, and there we go. Right, and so now we move around, and our animations, again, they look a little bit weird, but that's okay for now. We can run around this test scene, and it looks just fine. He more looks like Parkour Link, but that'll change later on. Alright, now that's it for this tutorial, guys. We did our basic setup today. So we set up our link, we set up our testing, and we set up our animations. Now, in the next tutorial, we're going to be taking our current walking animation, and we're going to be making it an IK walking animation. Now, what is inverse kinematics? Because it sounds just a little bit weird, right? Now, inverse kinematics is basically where you are taking your point and you are determining its its end position. So, for example, if we are currently walking and we take our character, we move him up here. What is he currently doing when he walks? He's walking in midair, right? And this is really not what we want. That's very not good, right? Now, basically, inverse kinematics is what we're actually going to be doing is taking our walk cycle and even the rest of our animation and changing this. So instead of just walking in the air, it's going to say, where's the ground? And I'm going to plant my foot on the ground instead of in the air. It's not a predetermined position. That's what it is right now. It's a predetermined animation. But we're going to be changing it. So this animation, instead of being predetermined where it's going to go, it's going to be affected by the environment. So basically, over here, this is where we're going to test it. If we're walking straight, our foot is going to be in the air. But instead, it's going to say, okay, there's ground here. So I'm going to put my foot on the ground instead of keep it in the air. Again, it's not predetermined. It's affected by the environment. So that's what we're doing in the next tutorial, guys. That will be next week. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.